BookTube friends, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to pop in and talk a little bit about a book I read for my real life book club, and that is reading Lolita in Tehran, a memoir in books by Azar Nafisi. And I will admit there were members of the book club who did not finish this book, and they had a bit of a difficult time getting into it. And I do think it's a bit heavy, but everyone had interesting things to say about it, so I do think it's a powerful book and it is worth a read. Classifying it as a memoir I think is a bit misleading because it's really the story of a group of women. So the author is a literature professor in Tehran during the Islamic Revolution, and so we see her struggle at the university as the university really becomes a political battleground, and she is having to operate under a system that is extremely tyrannical and has increased regulations regarding her daily life and also her position as a professor. So eventually she does step down from this position, and she starts a private book club at her house on Thursday mornings for a select group of young women. Now, the books that they read are kind of interwoven throughout the story here, and so you will encounter some characters from those books, and they really serve as vehicles to explore themes and emotions and things that are playing out in the real lives of these women. I liked how all of the different women had very distinct personalities, and we do see kind of a transformation with some of these women, not just internally but also externally, because when they enter the book club, many of the women do reveal themselves and they remove the hijab, and so we get to see a bit of their personality reflected in how they dress, or maybe if they paint their nails or something like that. So that was pretty cool. One thing that one of the ladies brought up that I never really considered when thinking about countries with these sorts of regulations is the impact on very devout Muslim women. So this young lady chose to wear the hijab as a way to show her devotion to her religion, and the fact that the regime made it a mandate and forced it upon people, they felt like that made their acts of devotion meaningless. And that was a really profound statement. I never really considered that. But throughout the book, one thing that I noticed is the regime's attempts to make women kind of invisible and ordinary really had the opposite effect and made them more of a spectacle and a curiosity, because just entering the university became an ordeal for these women. They would enter a side room where they would then be inspected, and so not just their outward coverings but also the clothing that they had underneath, their nail length, inspections for makeup, things like this, which I thought negated the point of wearing the coverings if you were going to then proceed with these very invasive sort of inspections. So I thought that was very ironic. And the emphasis in the Islamic Revolution on America kind of exposed some of that irony as well, because we see reflected in the people that America is seen as kind of this land of Satan, but also Paradise Lost. So it's a fascination, I think, with these things, an obsession with these things that really piques people's curiosity even more. I think, too, one of the lessons of this book is about treating writers as kind of guardians of morality. I think that's one thing that really paralyzes authors, particularly authors of fiction. And this author really talks about the importance of fiction. Any book that, seems like a love letter to books or libraries or that sort of thing really has a special place, I think, for me, immediately. But this author, you know, genuinely believes in the power of fiction to cultivate empathy in people, and I commend her attempts to do this under very constraining circumstances. It's really remarkable that she was able to have these very enlightening discussions and explorations within her classes, while at the same time really walking a fine line and putting herself at risk, because there were people in her classes who clearly had not read the books, but their main goal was to disrupt and to question and to really intimidate others from even partaking in any sort of open discussion. So that was also very heartening to read about, but it was also difficult to read about, because you always try to imagine what you yourself would do in these circumstances, and I think most people would like to believe that they would, you know, continue on and stand up for what they believe is right. And, you know, the reality is that self-preservation, you know, has to kick in at a certain point. And that's why I always find people like this who have done kind of extraordinary things under very difficult circumstances so inspiring. So that's the book. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the novels being used as the vehicles to really tell this story. And, you know, based on my bookmark here, you know, I think that any book that talks about these topics and these themes is very important and worthy of a second look. So yeah, I hope you guys are having a warm and cozy, merry, bright, holly jolly, all the good things kind of holiday, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and thank you for watching my channel, and thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one.